There are two things that annoy me the most when it comes to World Cups. Firstly is when there's a player that, for your club, has been absolutely pants all season. Then all of a sudden, he puts on his nation's shirt and turns into a world-class player. You're like, where the fuck have you been? Joel Campbell syndrome, as we call it at Arsenal. The only thing that's more annoying than that is a player that plays for a rival club and has had an incredible season, and then all of a sudden turns up to the World Cup and all of his abilities seem to vanish. This happened to Manchester United's goalkeeper, David De Gea. I mean, this guy was exceptional, week in, week out for Manchester United, like a brick wall in front of the goal. Then all of a sudden, he goes to the World Cup and it's like chocolate wrists in the goal. First of my four defenders is Iran's Milad Mohammadi. Picture the scene. It's Iran's final group game. They've won one, they've lost one, they're 1-0 down to Spain. They need a goal in the final minutes of the match to go through to the knockout stages. Milad Mohammadi, it's hold my beer time. Not hold my beer, I think they're a Muslim country. Whatever he's drinking. He takes the ball and decides that this is his moment on the world stage to attempt a somersault throw-in. Clearly the nerves got to Milad Mohammadi and he aborted it halfway through. Only problem was it took him so long to attempt the somersault throw and then decide to do a real throw-in that the referee blew full time and Iran were knocked out of the World Cup. Next up, Sergei Ignacevic, Russian's 39-year-old centre-back. Hasn't played a professional game in over a year, comes out of retirement and somehow manages to run, on average, 14 kilometres per game. This guy just doesn't give up. I mean, I don't know how he had that much energy. I guess playing on home soil must just give you a real shot in the arm. Dejan Lovren, who certainly would be put into any team of the tournament if said team of the tournament was being selected by Dejan Lovren. Just before the final, he decides it's the prime moment to give a press conference and announce to the world that he is fed up with all the criticism that he gets as a defender. He has taken Liverpool to the Champions League final, and now he has taken Croatia to the World Cup final, and he should be considered as one of the best defenders in the world. And then he shipped 4 goals. Rafael Marquez. He had a relatively controversial World Cup, kicking it off with a prostitute party that he enjoyed with other members of the Mexican team. Hey, I'm not here to judge. Also, not allowed to be filmed drinking from the same water bottle as the rest of his teammates or to be with certain sponsors throughout the competition because he had been embroiled in a alleged money laundering scheme with members of the Mexican cartel. And I'm very glad that FIFA sent out that clear message. Money laundering is not acceptable by any of the players. Executives, absolutely fine, but none of the players on the pitch. Next up, Raheem Sterling, the great enigma. Anyone that winds up the Daily Mail as much as him definitely deserves a place in my team. I was a little frustrated going into the tournament as I had set up a wager with Raheem whereby if he were to score, he was going to do a celebration that I gave him on the pitch at the World Cup, the T-Rex celebration. I was so excited. I watched every game with bated breath, waiting for Raheem to slot one home and pull out my celebration on the world stage. And he proceeded to mess up every single goal-scoring opportunity that he had throughout the tournament, including against Panama, a header from like 4 inches off the line, which somehow he managed to get saved by the Panamanian goalkeeper, who's probably a part-time milkman. Lucas Torreira, Arsenal's new signing, absolutely loved his performances at the World Cup, a guy that was willing to put his body on the line, heading the ball off the floor at one point. What I also liked about Lucas Torreira is that he was a bulldog. He was bullying people off the ball, and he did all of this whilst having train tracks on his teeth, which must be so frustrating if you're one of the opposing players that is getting bullied by a player that looks like he should be around the back of an Odeon cinema sniffing glue. No team of the tournament would be complete without Cristiano Ronaldo, who produced the moment at the tournament with that free kick that he scored against Spain. I also appreciated that he did it with a wedgie. Well, admittedly, he had given it to himself. It reminded me of my own school days, although I would normally get wedgied after I'd taken the free kick without the permission of one of the big boys. Neymar Jr. World-class talent or whiny little bitch? Probably a bit of both. He certainly didn't make many friends at this tournament as he spent nearly, I'd say 90% of the games that he played rolling around on the floor. Although I did find out he definitely does still have some fans, as when Brazil were knocked out of the tournament, I tweeted, he's rolling home, Neymar's rolling home, and had some rather fruity tweets from the few Brazilian followers that I have. one of which said, "You can stick it up your motherfucking asshole." First on my centre forwards, Nikola Kalinic, the man who in the first game of the World Cup for Croatia refused to come on as a substitute because he said that it was damaging to his ego. He was promptly sent home by the manager and had to watch Croatia progress further in the World Cup than they ever have in their history. I bet he felt like a right melt, and that's why I'm putting him in my team of the tournament. Although I'm actually going to start him on the bench. The final place in my team as striker was one that I had to deliberate over quite a lot. So many wonderful performances from strikers at this World Cup. Harry Kane winning the Golden Boot, Romelu Lukaku absolutely tearing defences apart, Antoine Griezmann, again a wonderful tournament, but in the end I decided that my final place in this position would be Lord Nicholas Bendtner. Now, I know what you're thinking, he didn't actually play at the World Cup, but he was selected in the squad, he was meant to be at that World Cup, and unfortunately, he sustained an injury and wasn't able to play at the tournament. And how the tournament missed him. I am in no doubt whatsoever that Denmark would have lifted the World Cup had Lord Bendtner been there. They had a wonderful defence, Kasper Schmeichel shored them up at the back. What they were missing was their talismanic striker, Lord Nicholas Bendtner. So even though he wasn't there, I felt like he was there in spirit, and therefore that is why my final member of my team of the tournament, and I'm going to make him captain as well, is Lord Nicholas Bendtner. We missed you, man. Can't wait to see you in Qatar.